What's good, world? It's your boy Brandon P.
Yo, what's up? This is Beacon Light.
Yo, what up? This is Derek Miner.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Brandon.
Yo, this is George Rose.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Miles Minnick, and you are tuned in to Oxen Brand Music. Let's glow.
Let's glow. Let's go. What up, ladies and gentlemen? We back at it again. Let's go. It's another Monday. And it's not just any other Monday. I don't know why I said it that way. Okay. It's not just any other Monday because today I got an in-studio guest and I'm so excited. And I try to intentionally and very awkwardly not say anything to him a whole lot because I didn't want to get into anything because I just know how I'm going to ask questions. But we're going to jump right into it after we do our intros, of course. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mix Mondays. My name is DJ Integrity. Also, welcome to Mix Mondays, hosted and powered by Oxen Brand Music and unofficially sponsored by Chick-fil-A Sweet Tea, where all your joy is just one sip away. If you guys haven't already done so, make sure you guys check out our Spotify playlist. We got you guys covered, and we're going to rapid fire through this. So you got your smooth vibes, you got your crate diggers. For the workout people, we got you on the Oxen Strong. If you want to do a little bit of rock, we got you guys on the rock as well. And then, of course, our lo-fi people, we got you on Oxfi. And then also we have you guys on Praise Bops, which I like that one. That tends to be my newest favorite one. So, and then also, if you guys haven't done so, if you're on Twitch, make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube. Shout out to the 200 plus subscribers. I don't remember the number, but thank you guys so much for keeping it locked and supporting us here. Now, I got through that real quick on purpose. Okay, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the big homie, Andre Arkade.
What up, what up?
Yes.
I'm excited for this.
Yes, bro.
It's been a long time coming.
It has been. And even more so because I kept saying it over and over. And I'm like, oh, I gotta get you. And then here's the thing though. In my head, I felt like you live like hours away.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know why, because you've never really lived that far. So every single time I'm like, I don't want to get him out here. And then when you're like, no, I'm okay with it. I was like, nah, I don't really want to, And then finally we got to chopping it up again just recently or whatever. And you're like, oh, no, it's like 45 minutes away. I was like, man, all right.
Not even that.
Really?
It was even closer than I thought. I think when I was doing my GPS, I might have been somewhere further than my house. So, yeah, it was about 36 minutes. And I'm like, you thought this was far?
Oh, bro. That means we're gonna have to hang out a lot more.
Indeed.
We definitely gonna have to lean that up. So without obviously, okay. So kind of what I talked to you about before is whatever you feel comfortable speaking about and in depth or whatever. Like we will go wherever the Holy Spirit has us go. Right?
I feel you on that.
So before we get real into it, because I want to know so many different things. And my brain's going all over. Especially, it doesn't help to also watch like Ruslan and some other people, whatever, before, because I'm like, ooh, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about that. So before we get crazy with it, give the people a kind of a quick background as to who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Andre Arkade. I was formerly known as Chosen Boy. I started off my DJing career way back when with dance.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we got connected, through dance. I was a dancer for, like a decade. Then from there, got into filming a bit, worked with Thizzle, was able to shoot a music video with him, do some other work with him, and long story short, that got me into DJing somehow. Started
the film
DJing.
Got to DJ.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting because normally the dancer goes into DJing, which is what my role did, but you did the now.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you said you shot a music, like you were behind the camera, or you just started doing?
Oh, behind the camera. Motivation music video.
Oh,
Yeah, he saw something in me I didn't fully see. He was like, hey, I think you could shoot a music video, because at the time I was shooting a lot of behind the scenes stuff for him. So like different stuff in the studio, just random things. So he was like, hey, like, I want you to shoot a music video. Like, okay, like we can go for it, and end up turning out great. So
that's dope.
From there, he brought me out to South by Southwest to film some behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Just him going around some of his set, but it was mostly a lot of him interacting with different people at South by Southwest.
Yeah.
And while there, I filmed a DJ battle. Since I'm there with my equipment and stuff, I'm like, hey, it's a DJ battle going on. DJ Asline and some others.
Ooh,
Belief.
like a real battle then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So I'm there filming, get back to the hotel room, and I'm just chopping it up, editing some short clips and all this stuff, and I'm seeing what they're doing with all this, and I'm like, this is dope, how they can manipulate the music and do this and do this over this song. And I'm like, this is kind of cool. So on the ride back to St. Louis, because we drove all the way there. It was me, Thizzle, and Courtney Orlando, JR.
Yes.
So we drove all the way to Texas. So on the way back then, this was 2012.
Okay.
So I had an iPod Touch, and I just downloaded an app at the time, DJ.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
I downloaded the app, and I happened to have access to some instrumentals, and also I think Thizzle hooked me up with some acapellas, and I had some acapellas from Lecrae, from I think it was was it the Rebel app? No, was it Rebel? It was one of his albums, whichever album. Rehab. So I had the acapellas from Lecrae's Rehab, and I just started mixing up stuff, and I put Beyonce's Crazy in Love instrumental on, and I put Lecrae's High acapella over it, and just started trying to figure out the sync button and all that stuff, and eventually it kind of flowed. And this is like a long ride back to St. Louis, so a lot of times I'm controlling the aux cord, and they're pretty open to hearing whatever on the ride back.
Yeah.
And eventually I got the hang of it, and it's like, oh, this kind of dope.
Yeah.
Like, is it like a record feature? And I'm like, yeah, it actually is. So hit record, did it again.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And he's giving like different pointers, like, hey, what about this song with that? Or can you put my song over this?
Who's giving that
this
to
is
you?
Thizzle.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So he got experimental for you.
yeah, I mean, he's driving, so he can't do it, but he's just like, hey,
But like
what
the
about
ideas and all that.
Yeah, like what about
Gotcha.
this song? And so I'm downloading the acapella and instrumental and putting it on the iPod Touch, mixing it, and some stuff flowing. He's like, oh, like that sound dope. And eventually I'm flowing with different ideas and just different things coming to my brain, and I'm just putting it all together. This is just like a long ride back to St. Louis, and eventually I'm just like, this is really fun. And eventually I recorded, I redid that Beyonce beat over the with the Lecrae acapella, and I kind of perfected it and recorded it and sent it to Thizzle. He's like, hey, what do you think about sending this to you should send this to like DJ Wado. Wado with the Wado radio show at the time was like huge. I'm like, send it to Wado. I'm like, why would I send? In my head, I'm like, I'm just a dude working on the iPod Touch. Like, what is he gonna do with this random mashup remix that I did? Sent it to Wado, submitted it, did the whole proper forms and all that stuff. And I think might have been about a month later, I got a tweet, and it was Wado responding to somebody's tweet to him. Somebody had tweeted Wado, hey, what was that Lecrae Beyonce remix that you played on your show? And he was like, oh, that's from Chosen Boy. And he added me. I'm like, wait, he played this on the show?
Oh, you didn't even know?
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
I'm like, wow, like what I sent to Wado actually got played, and he just added me at the time, this is like a legend. I'm like,
Yeah.
Wado played my
Oh, you
stuff
still a
on his
legend,
show.
bro. You still a legend.
Yeah. So like at the time, I'm like, I'm still like a kid. I'm kind of like starstruck. Like Wado played my stuff on. So I'm thinking like, like maybe I should make more of these. So I just start making more. At the time, I actually don't have DJ equipment. I'm still working off my iPod Touch.
Yeah.
So I'm just mixing stuff and sending it out to different people, and different people picked it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is dope. And Thizzle, again, gave me some pointers. He's like, hey, what do you think about submitting to be the DJ at South by Southwest next year?
Yeah.
This is still 2012, and I'm just like, I'm going to submit to be the DJ. Like, I don't have equipment. So, like, you should just go for it. So I went through the proper submission form, submitted to be a DJ, and they accepted me as the DJ for the same showcase that I filmed that same year.
Oh, okay. So you were actually DJing as well as filming the same.
Oh no. So in 2012, when I went there to film completely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I filmed a event. I think it was called Kingdom Experience at South by Southwest. That same showcase accepted me to be the official DJ the following year.
Wow.
When I got accepted, I still didn't have DJ equipment. They just went off of what I sent them.
Yeah.
I can mix on the iPod Touch.
Right.
And then I made the mix, and they accepted it.
Hey, listen. At the end of the day, this is what I tell my athletes when they're worried about possible college, this whatever. I'm gonna look. At the end of the day, people can't ignore dope. If you're dope, they don't care how, what, when.
Yep.
It don't matter. Can you do it, and can you be dope at it? Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. So
yeah.
So at that point, I'm kind of like, what do I do? Like, I don't have DJ equipment, but I have to DJ South by Southwest next year.
Yeah.
Because they do their submissions like months prior, so I still got a while to go. So I eventually get some DJ equipment where I get to use the same DJ software just with an iPad, and I put the iPad in there and I can mix that way. So one of my first DJ shows ended up being South by Southwest, which it's only got like you usually don't start there.
Right, and that's a for real place, right? So so the thing is, okay, so in case you're tuning in, because not everybody is familiar with CHH culture, let alone St. Louis artists and stuff like that. So there were several people that Andre was just dropping left and right. Lecrae, obviously people know about. Thizzle, some people may not know necessarily, although he would be a bigger representative, right, of St. Louis. Yeah. Then you had Flame and Jason at the time, who was here, and then Courtney Lander, who's also was known as JR at the time. Those were the heavy hitters here in this area, which it was crazy because like for me, I got into Christianity summer of 2000, and through LimeWire, I got some stuff from Flame, right? And then that's when I started hearing like, oh, St. Louis, and I was like, oh, they're right here. And then of course, it's like anything else, you search them, and I'm like, oh, there's more people. Oh, there's actually more people. Oh, they're actually a whole little team right here. Oh, this is so cool, right? So you were saying all that, and then even the South by South, like, so anybody who's in the music world knows that, rather it's on the mainstream side or the Christian side, because it's so South by Southwest is not strictly just a Christian event.
Oh yeah, totally not.
Yeah, so but they ended up eventually kind of having a Christian section, so it's kind of like
representation there.
Yes, representation from that, and so to hear you going from what you're doing and who you're with and all that, and then to have your first show there. For those who know, it's like, oh, that's actually a really big deal. Like those were big platforms. I don't even necessarily know how to try to articulate it for somebody to understand what that is in current times as to what it is. Because South by Southwest is still going on.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I just off the top of my head, it's kind of hard to think about. Like, okay, what could I relate it to for somebody to be able to know, like, oh, okay, this is what it is and this is what it was, whatever. So, but anyways, so dancer first, and then turned cinematographer ish, right? Yeah. So videographer, and then turned into a DJ. Now, in all of those, how did you? Okay, let me say it this way. Sometimes people end up when they're creative and they're doing all these different things, whatever, as you're doing things and as you're getting recognized for things and as you're being seen as talented or, oh, this is good and I want you around or whatever, like, first off, actually, at what age was this even happening? Like, when did you like first kind of start popping off as far as like a dancer?
This was a little bit fresh out of high school. So this was 2015. I mean, 2005. I said 2015.
I know.
In 2005, that's when I started more of a career into dance.
Got you.
And also, I would say the year prior was the year that I met you.
Right.
Well, maybe 2 years prior. The end of 2003, going into 2004 was when I met you, and you were also a dancer. At the time.
We were what, 16 to 18 ish.
Yeah, right.
Time frame.
Range. Yep.
Right around there. Okay, cool. So that's happening. And then you again transition into you're working with these artists who are very popular at the time, especially here locally. Did you ever feel any kind of sense of like identity in what it is that you were doing, or was it just like, no, this is just fun and I just happen to be able to do it with friends?
Ooh, yeah, it was definitely a sense of identity because I also grew up a kid who he wasn't noticed in school. Like I wasn't the popular kid. I wasn't in the popular groups. I really didn't even have a lot of friends in school. So I always clung to what got me attention. And that attention eventually came through dance. And that was my senior year in high school when people started noticing I could dance. So I was like addicted to that feeling like, oh, wow, people really noticed what I was doing. Yeah. So I was addicted to that as my affirmation. So it was very much my identity was found in whatever gifts and talents I
Yeah.
can cling on to.
Yeah.
Whether that be through dance, eventually filmmaking, DJing, like it was
Yeah.
fully my identity wrapped around it, and it took a long time to really find that out and find out like what exactly I was craving with all those different gifts.
So you said that you weren't really noticed. Was it just were you just okay? For those who may not know Andre personally, he's not a very loud, talkative guy. He can talk. You are a talker, but you're not gonna be the first one in the door and be like, "Hey, what's up, y'all?" So yeah, this is. So was it because of that? Like, were you just more of
I
it?
think that had a large influence in that.
Okay.
As far as me being more timid and standoffish.
Yep.
Because that also what I've also learned is me being more timid and standoffish. People were like, oh, well, maybe he doesn't really want to be around us. Like he's not speaking to us. So yeah, keep him over there. So
That's good.
it took a long time for me to learn. Like, hey, like maybe I need to be a little bit more outgoing, just to make more friends and things like that. So
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so you started finding your identity, but then you said something that was really powerful. That you said that you started to. It wasn't until later on that you were like noticing where was this coming from? What was there a lack of? Did you? What was that? What was that for you that you realized looking back? Right, hindsight. I have obviously 2020, but looking back, that you're like, oh, this was the void, or this was what I was trying to fill in for, or make up for within being all this.
I would say honestly, this all happened fairly recently. You would think that I'm 37 now. You would think that maybe early 30s I would get that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I would say about close to 2 to 3 years ago that God really spoke to me like, this, you're not doing this for what you're telling people you do this for.
Dang. That's tough, bro. That's tough. Well, and the reason why I'm saying that even more so is that is because of that part of you're telling people one thing, but this is actually what's going on. And I think that alone is, I feel like the reason why I'm like, it's like a little bit more gut wrenching is because of the fact that like in your head you're thinking, okay, you know, I'm doing this for God. And we're praying before shows, right? We're praying before everything, and I'm giving thanks to God, right? I'm being grateful and all that. And then for the Holy Spirit to be like, nah,
yeah,
bro, how did that make you feel? Like when that really hit?
Fortunately, in that time and in that season when God revealed that to me, I was open to it. I think maybe it took a season of just having horrible mindsets about it that it eventually got me to that place where I'm like, God, I really need you to talk to me and help me figure out what the heck I'm doing here.
Wow.
So fortunately, when he did reveal it, it was okay. I'm receptive to this, and that was also during the time where God told me to shut everything down, like shut down, because I'm also a gamer, so I was doing Twitch. I was mixing that with DJing and pursuing both, and God was just like, shut everything down, like cold turkey. Like,
wow,
you need to get yourself right.
Okay.
Because this has become your God.
Oof. Okay. Yeah. Something coming your God. That's huge. Okay. So, man. Okay. I don't timeline. My brain's going so fast right now because timeline. I'm like, I want to bounce back and forth. Let me backtrack because I want to put a pin in that. Come back to it because obviously then it's going to take you to today and where you are and all that. So, so you're tracking. You're working with all these people, doing all these Christian events, or whatever. I'm assuming you also see the fruit of the Holy Spirit working through you and all that. From the transition from one thing to another, did you ever put the past thing down? Like when you picked up, doing filmmaking, did you stop dancing? Like, did you put more effort into those things?
Oh yeah. Each transition has always it's somehow moved. Like, I can only explain it. It was a God thing, because as I began to lose passion in one thing, God just picked up another gifting in me that I didn't know was there.
Yeah.
So with the dancing, it was a time where it's like, hey, like opportunities are dwindling, and I don't know about this, and it just so happened that since I was during my time in dance, I was filming different people dance and all that stuff. it went from random filming things, just throwing YouTube, to learning more about filmmaking and learning more about angles and all this stuff. And ended up, Thizzle gave me that opportunity with filmmaking at the time. So I'm like, oh, like I really like this. And as the time where I'm like, okay, like I'm good at this, or I'm decent at it, but I don't know if this is fully my lane. That's when DJing came in. So with each new gifting or new passion that came, I usually kind of put down the other one. And also with when I came to Twitch and gaming, I also kind of put down DJing a little bit around that season.
See, and I feel that, especially also being a creative, also doing the dancer thing and all the other things, whatever, is that I feel that once you pick something up, it's that newness, right? Really, that's what it's down to. It's like, because some people will go like, oh, it's your passion, right? Like, it's just, no, it's not. You fell out of love with this and you became more passionate. Yes, and it was also the new thing.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like relationships, right? It's like some people are like, oh my gosh, like this person, like rather it's like relationship as far as opposite gender, or even just in friendships. Like, oh man, like they're so cool, and we just talk all the time or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, it's a new person. you have a lot to say because y'all don't know nothing, right, about one another. And so with the creative aspect, it's like, well, yeah, it's a new passion because you're learning and you like to learn and you like to be creative. And you're also finding a sense of identity in it, right? Because you're like, oh, but now I'm still useful to people, right?
Yep.
Now I have a new lane to feel that. And I feel like our lives paralleled in that aspect where it's like I enjoyed being useful to someone as well. So going into then DJing, you eventually, so again, you're already with the central hub of CHH artists in St. Louis. Flame ended up taking you on as his DJ. Talk to me about that transition where you're doing this stuff with Thizzle and everybody else, and then you finally kind of get into DJing, and then now all of a sudden you're literally traveling the world, right? Take me through that process. Like, how did it get to that point?
Yeah, again, that was another God thing, because there was nothing in my abilities that got me to that, or even should have got me to that.
Wow.
Ability-wise. At South by Southwest, when I did one of my first events, I saw Flame there. Like, oh, wow, like, I didn't know you got into DJing. In my head, I'm like, yeah, I just did, like, right now. Like, I just got equipment.
It's in real time, bro. We here. We here.
But, yeah, in talking to him, I didn't let him know that. I'm just like, oh, yeah, I got into DJing. And he's like, okay, like, that's what's up. Like, hopefully I'll see you in St. Louis, because at the time he was about to do Blackout Circuit Tour with KB and also Thizzle. He was on that tour. So, like, oh, hopefully I'll catch up with you while we're in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, cool. So, when he came to St. Louis, since I was still also kind of in my filmmaking bag, I was actually there to do an interview with him and film an interview. So we're backstage, we're filming the interview and all that stuff, and talk a little bit. He's like, oh, like, did you got your equipment with you? I'm like, yeah, I usually keep it in the car. He's like, well, I mean, it's up to you, but I mean, I know you just got into DJing. In case you want to spin while people are coming in the building, like, you're free to do that, but you don't have to do that. He was just trying to throw out an opportunity just in case, because he knew I was kind of up and coming DJ. I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. So for the Blackout Circuit Tour, they had a theme where it's like everything was glow in the dark and light up. I happened to have gotten a light up mask that month. And I'm like,
I remember that mask.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, well, it's a light up event. I got a light up mask. Yeah. Maybe when I up here spinning, I'll throw the mask on. Yeah. So people are coming in the building, and I'm just up there without the mask, and people they're just walking in the building, just waiting for the show to start. I kind of put the mask on and turned on the lights, and people started getting animated as if the show was about to start. I'm just there to spin while people are coming in the building. I'm not the pre-show.
They think you the warm up, like yo, it's about to go down. Here it goes.
Yeah, they think all of this is planned as part of what Flame and have planned. I'm just like, no, I just have a light up mask. I'm just throw it on while I'm up here spinning stuff. Wow. And crowds started getting amped, so I start amping them up with them. So I start playing more amp songs and kind of going crazy. And I think somebody from the back who was on the tour kind of peeked out and was like, what's going on? Like, show's not supposed to start for another 20-something minutes. Like, what are they doing?
Why is it so hype?
They see me up there. Hey, what's up? So That was that. I don't think we even spoke that day. I didn't hear anything else about it. In my head, I'm like, oh, this is just a cool moment. I'll remember this, and that's the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
About a week later, I get a text. Hey, Flames manager, like, hey, are you free? I think it was May 16th. I still remember that date, 2013. And they're like, hey, you're free on this day. Flame wants to know if you will be able to DJ for him for a show he's doing. I'm like, oh, yeah. I didn't even check my schedule.
I'm free now.
I actually had to work that day. So end up taking off work. But I'm like, yeah, I'm free. And they're like, oh, yeah, so here's the thing. Do you have a passport? I'm like, no. Well, you'll have to get a passport and get it expedited. We'll take care of all that. We'll pay for it. But can you get it expedited because it's coming up? So this is like probably coming up the next month. So we have to get the passport expedited. So,
Wait, so when they first called you, they didn't even tell you it was gonna be out of country or nothing. They just said a show.
Yeah. And then I found out, oh, it's in Canada. I'm like, oh, okay. So in my head, I'm still thinking just regular show like all of Flame's other shows. But it just happens to be in Canada.
Yeah, like a smaller church or something like that.
So we ended up getting there, and it's in a stadium for 13,000 people. And I'm like, this is probably show number 3 for me.
Oh, bro, this is so dope. Hey, listen. I am not overreacting right now by any means. This is all real time reaction because I didn't know this. I literally did not know this because in my head because you've been rocking those circles for a little while and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like he probably has some opportunities here with them and because he's doing this and he's already over there and I'd be following with you even before IG and all that stuff, whatever. And so it's like, oh, okay, cool. He's involved in all this stuff, bro. In real time right now, I had no idea that by the time I saw that you were posting this stuff, that it was show number 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was just out of nowhere, and I'm just like, oh wow. So one thing about the mask thing was, as you know, for me personally, I'm more of a down to earth, more sometimes timid guy, and I'm not naturally animated. The mask allowed me to be more animated because people couldn't see my face. So I felt more comfortable in it. So while doing the show in Canada with Flame, I just became my most animated self that I'd ever been. I'm like, it's a stadium. This is crazy, but I'm just going to give it my all and be somebody who I'm not used to being.
Well, you had the awareness to be like, yo, I can't be small in this is a big thing. I need to represent in a bigger way too. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So while there, I was the most hype I'd ever been, probably since my dancer days. Maybe that also played a part in it, but just super animated, and they just really enjoyed it. So on the plane ride back, Flame was like, "Hey, like, what do you think about doing this full time for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm down."
I didn't think I do now, but
yeah. So and the ball was rolling from that point on.
Wow, bro, that's so dope. Now here's what I'm hearing in all of this, right? Just the fact that you were it's the willingness, the willingness. I mean, literally, just any opportunity that has been presented to you, you just go, yeah, sure, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because oftentimes people will probably look at you from afar, right, or look at anybody from afar. And be like, man, they're doing this, doing that. Like, man, they must be making big moves or whatever. 9 times out of 10, you just say yes, right? Like it's okay. It's yes and proximity, right?
And God's favor. Like, if you've been following God. So.
Yes, no, for sure. God's blessing in that. Yes, and I don't want to take away from that. But the reason why I'm saying that too, and I didn't necessarily specifically say on God's favor too, although I agree. Is because even Christians will do the same thing to one another. Is they'll go, but I love Jesus too. Like I've been praying, I've been doing this or whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying. That the 2 practical things that most people end up missing is the proximity, number 1, right? Like if I want to get into filming, and the area that I'm living in don't really have nobody that does that, it's not that I can't. It's just not going to flourish as well. Yeah. Right? My friend Tanya, the dance studio owner from Be Elite, she tells people all the time, like, hey, just get out of St. Louis, whatever. And it's not that St. Louis doesn't have good dancers. In fact, we have dope dancers, and there's many of us who are in industries right now. In fact, one I had in studio on her podcast, is Missy Elliott's choreographer right now currently, and she's here from St. Louis. So, but she's not telling people leave because there's nothing here. It's leave because you need to be around where that stuff's happening.
Yeah.
So for you were just around people and this stuff was happening and you were willing to learn this new craft and give it a sense of excellence too. Because you could have done the bare minimum, right? Like straight up, you could have done the bare minimum and like, well, I mean, I've been DJing off this little iTouch. I might as well go ahead and just keep it on the iTouch or whatever, right? But instead, the opportunities and you saying yes and those opportunities, creating more opportunities that allowed you to get the different equipment and all of that stuff. So I think that's just an important piece that I don't want people to miss and go like, oh, okay, cool. Like it just, things happen for him. It's like, yes, but there's a reason why. God behind all of it, absolutely. But the proximity and saying yes is huge. Because sometimes people be like, I mean, yeah, like, okay, DJing wise, right? Or even artists. I want to pop off, but I don't want to do a show that's less than 300 people, right? I want to do X, Y, and Z, but it's inconvenient for me right now. I work that day. I don't have my passport. I don't have this. I don't have that, right? That is what keeps most people away from getting anything. But then they'll turn it and be like, man, everybody just hating on me, man. They just don't show me love or whatever. And it's like, homie, you didn't say yes to anything. And I'll tell you what, people talk, right?
Yep.
There have been times where I've been around where somebody's name will pop up and somebody be like, I mean, I wouldn't really work with them because last time we tried to do something and yes, it was a smaller scale, but they acted like it was a smaller scale. They acted like it wasn't this big stage and they just weren't that reliable. They didn't show up to sound check till like an hour later or whatever. You know what I mean? People talk.
That's right.
Right? So, okay. All right. So, you're off to the races, tour life, right? Talk to me about tour life, bro. Like, how was it? Was it like everything that people said it to be? Like, oh, man, you're just going to always be on these, like, great, beautiful buses and flying this, that, and the other, first class or what? Like, what was it?
Honestly, I would say starting off, it was a little bit better than I expected.
Okay.
I honestly, when he approached me about being his DJ, I didn't realize how many shows he was doing at the moment. And around that time, this is like peak season around like the Royal Flush era. And it's like, it went from, okay, I'm going to need you this weekend and this weekend to, okay, yeah, it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's like, oh, so this is like 3 shows a week. So I was basically catching, I just got so used to flights all the time. And it's like, oh, wow, like this is even more than what I thought it was going to be. Like this is a lot more busy than I thought it was going to be. For me, it was more of a push to my ego. It was more like, more of an ego boost to me. Like, oh, wow, like I get to post all of the dates that I'm going to be at. Like, hey, I'll be in these different cities. And it was not really because I cared who was going to show up to the cities. It was just showing off.
Y'all just need to know that I'm going somewhere.
Yeah. And it's just like this is a lot more busy than I thought it was going to be. But fortunately, around that time, I got linked more on a friendship term with DJ Wado.
Yeah.
And he gave me some more advice on like financially how to make it make more sense.
I love it.
Because as far as what I was doing, it didn't fully make financially sense. It looked good on paper. Like you get to post about all these different shows. And it's like, so what are you doing to live off of it? Like this, what you're telling me isn't making sense. He's like, you're not working another job on the side? I'm like, no. He's like, why not? Like, because what I was getting paid to do, it didn't really make financially sense.
Yep.
For somebody who wants a family one day and all that stuff. Like, it's cool if you just plan to stay single for the rest of your life, but one day you need to start making these moves. So
yeah, not only stay single and stay in that same environment and not get a different car and keep the same shoes.
Oh, you talk about car. I didn't have a car at the time.
Dang, bro.
I was going out. Matter of fact, let's talk about the show in Canada. I went out, performed in front of 13,000 people. Came back to St. Louis, caught the Metrolink and the bus home.
Wow. Wow.
And
I love that.
It stayed like that for a while, and people didn't everybody's looking at my life like, oh, this is the glitz and like this is
Yeah,
great. Like I want
yeah.
his life, and meanwhile, I'm out here not being financially responsible because I want the glitz and glam and I want all the affirmation, and I don't want to go get a real job to actually take care of myself.
Wow. Bro. Again, it's common sense, but I wish it was more common, honestly. Because again, it's just the same idea, that, and obviously I get a chance to talk to different artists or whatever here on MixMondays, and sometimes I'm like, man, or not even just even here on the show. Sometimes it's when I'm DJing with George at different festivals or whatever, and I'm listening to some artists, and I'm like, you not thinking through, like you think because you push really hard on social media that you all of a sudden not gonna need your job. You might want to reconsider that. And it's just like, nah, man, I got faith. I'm just trusting God. I'm like, yeah, I trust God for that paycheck that I get too, because I'm not guaranteed that just because, that's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Okay, so we go to tour life. You're getting, and shout out to Wado for not only taking the time to build a friendship, but to like actually invest into you, right? Some knowledge that someone who is further along in their life, can think through those things and can guide you, and then also can challenge you.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's huge. I wish more people would be like you, where they were receptive to it. Because again, even in the mainstream market, people tend to ignore the people who've been there, done that, got all the charts, got the awards and everything, and then be like, man, you can't say nothing to me. I'm running these mini streams or whatever, and I'm like, but they have been where you're trying to get.
Yeah.
Shut up and listen, right?
Yeah.
So okay, how long did you end up touring with Flame?
That was from 2013 all the way up to, I would say consistently up until around 2018-ish.
Wow. Okay, so 5-ish years.
Yeah.
Doing it. And within that time frame, what were you doing? Any of like your own events too? Like were people hiring you out as chosen boy, or was it strictly with him?
For the most part, it was with him, but I would say around 2016, 2017, I started branching out and working with other people. So we did a show somewhere with KJ52 at some point, and he hit up Flame like, hey, got an event, liked your DJ, I get his number. Flame was always like very open to me working with other people, so he would give my number to different people, refer me, so start being able to work with like other artists and all that stuff.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Because again, it's not always the thing. Sometimes it's just, it's mine. It's mine. So that's cool. Shout out Flame for doing that. So with the way that it looked to everybody, right? When you were in that season, did you ever get to a point of like, man, this isn't really what it's all cracked up to be? Like, I'm enjoying this, but at the same time, it's like, this is also taking a lot out of me.
Yeah, a lot of that came around I would say 2017 season, where I started getting, it started becoming, it went from a place of this feeds my ego to this is boosting my pride, and I'm looking down on everybody else, and I'm getting very arrogant and upset about my situation.
Wow.
So I took the advice that I was originally getting about like, hey, got to make this make financial sense, to pointing the finger, even at Flame, like he's not making this make financial sense for me, so I'm upset with him internally.
Wow.
And even when it came to me working with other artists, a lot of it was sometimes internally out of spite, like I'm gonna work with somebody else, and maybe they'll appreciate me, and I'll eventually get to a space financially that's better. And throughout all of that, it started like festering in me, and more of pride, and it went completely from anything ministry based to this is a way just simply to pay my bills, and also I'm looking for the most money possible. And yes, you gave me all these opportunities and all this stuff, but I'll forget you because I'm not in a place financially where I want to be. So
and it's your fault.
Yeah.
Dang, that's heavy, bro.
Yeah.
That's heavy. Were you aware of like, man, this is starting to like were you feeling conviction of like, man, I'm starting to get really upset and I'm taking things for granted, or were you just so much in it that you couldn't really tell?
Some seasons I was in and out, but for the most part, I found myself in a season where I was around other artists who had that same kind of mentality. So I started feeding it, and we all started like, we were all bitter together. We were all bitter, broke artists together. Like, oh man, so it just, your friend circle is very important as far as like who you're around and all that stuff, because rather than feeding life to me, they're feeding like, oh yeah, that is wrong. Like, oh yeah, you should get paid this money because Wado gets paid this, and not considering Wado is an OG in the game.
Yeah,
he worked his way to get to that. I'm literally just thrusted into an opportunity. You don't just come in expecting this. I didn't know that at the time, so you started feeding my ego and pride. I'm like, oh, I'm worth this, so forget all this.
You come in expecting what those who put in before you and putting in that work, and you expect to come in at the same level.
Yeah.
Oof, bro, that is the epitome of pride.
Yeah.
Right? The epitome of pride will sit here and be like, oh, okay, God, you are who you are, but you put that tree there, and I have the ability to be like you, and I'm going to forget who I am and what place I'm in this world, but somebody's going to tell me, hey, but you be on the same level. Just go ahead and take it. Woo! Talk about the fall of man, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, Genesis will pop up all your life, guys. Read Genesis. It's going to always pop up every time.
In all different kinds of ways.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay. So let's, I want to, for the sake of time, I want to transition into, so it sounds like a separation from Flame is starting to happen. Because I've worked with Flame a couple times, here and there, and nobody's obviously perfect, right? Everybody's kind of doing their own thing or whatever, but relationship is still always important.
Yeah.
How was that transition when you were not at, his DJ as much, or when you were in those moments or whatever? Like what? How was that break off? I guess
it was very sudden, and I think I probably should have had more of a conversation about it. I got to a place. This was 2019, where emotionally, spiritually, I was in a dark place. Around that time, people started seeing me wear the face paint. I switched from the glowing things, light up masks, neon green things, to everything was black, and I started wearing face paint and started wearing it darker. It wasn't just for creativity; it was a reflection of how I felt.
Ooh. I
would even post cryptic messages on Instagram. Like, this was during we were doing For the People tour. I was on tour with Flame, Bizzle, D1, KB came out to a few, Mike Real. During that whole tour, I was in such a dark place. I would post cryptic messages that nobody really figured it out, but it was kind of like a crowd for help. Like, this is how I feel.
Wow.
I'm wearing this black face paint, looking like Sting from WCW. Like, I'm showing a dark look because this is how I feel.
Wow.
And after that tour, my whole personal life crumbled. Went through a divorce, and around that time, I was reached out about doing a show with Flame, and I declined. I'm just like, no, I'm gonna pass. And they're like, sure, like you should probably be around like people right now. No, I'll pass. And that was just the end of it. And
wow.
After that, I think I also said, like, I'm passing on any shows in the immediate future. Like, basically, I'm just kind of done.
Retired. So did you pass because you knew you weren't in a good spot, or were you just, I just don't want nothing from anybody? Like, I don't want to be around anybody.
More so because I didn't want to be around anybody.
Okay.
I knew that being around them, I would have probably had to have real conversations about where I was spiritually.
Yup.
I wasn't ready to have that. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. I'm done DJing. And that was just it.
Sheesh. The fact that you were aware enough to know, okay, I'm in this crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in this hole. I don't like where I'm at. And if I get around light,
Mm-hmm.
I can't sit in this darkness.
Yeah.
And I want to sit here.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't even necessarily want to just hurry up and talk. That is heavy, right? That is heavy. And that is one of the reasons what will keep somebody going back to their sinful nature.
Mm-hmm.
I know myself, right? I know myself personally enough to know that the times that I commit adultery, the times that I rather it's physically, emotionally, with my eyes, with conversations, right? Mm-hmm. The times that I do that, I know what is right and wrong. I know that I shouldn't, right? Mm-hmm. I know how it would crush my wife. I know how it would put a strain, with my boys and stuff. I still know it enough to know that though I'm quick to tell my accountability, brothers, like, hey, this is where I'm at, whatever, but I'm not that quick. I don't want to have that conversation really, really quick.
Yeah.
I want to get to a point where I'm not really in that mud, where I'm not like knee deep. I'm just like ankle deep, on your way out. Uh-huh. Then it's like, hey guys, like I just, just letting y'all know it's kind of where I've been or whatever and all that.
Yeah, in past tense.
Bro, that's so hard. That is so hard to have the mindset to know I'm not doing what I was supposed to be doing, but I don't want to be around anybody right now because they're going to tell me something that I don't want to hear.
Mm-hmm. And hold me accountable to what I know is true.
Gosh. Dang, bro. Somebody's going to take that. So even with your separation, like how do you feel in the moment of, I can tell that I'm becoming prideful. I'm angry at people that, kind of gave me these opportunities or whatever. I was in a marriage that was falling apart. But yet I'm still kind of around Christian culture-ish or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, was there ever a moment that you're like, freaking God, like you're not really there right now? Like, was there any time that you doubted in your faith because of all that stuff was going on?
Yes and no. I would say I had doubts, not in my faith. I had doubts that I was going to make it through to the other side of where I was.
Wow.
I honestly knew what was true, mm-hmm. and I knew where I was supposed to be, mm-hmm. but as far as like finishing the race, I'm like, maybe I'm just not cut out to finish the race. Maybe I'm just going to be one of the ones who, they got close, and then they strayed away. Wow. Because we see that a lot with people, like they take a fall and just like, they just fall. I'm like, maybe that's my story. Maybe I'm just one of those. Gosh. I started doubting if God would bring me back to a place where he wanted me to be. And I just, in that season, just isolated myself from everybody. Nobody heard from me for about a year, at least. Like, I mean, nobody, like, you didn't hear from me. No. Flame didn't hear from me. At the time, my best friend, Mike Real, mm-hmm. he'd reached out because when I got into that dark place, I reached out to a couple of brothers because I was feeling suicidal. Mm-hmm. I sent a text out to a lot of random people. Yeah. And a lot of them hit me up, and I remember Mike was one of the people who was like, hey, like, where you at? Like, I'm about to show up. And, like, no. So, like, I didn't reach out to anybody. I just isolated myself. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, forget everybody. And somehow I made myself the victim. And I'm like, oh, well, they all turned their backs on me. Like, Satan can have you thinking weird stuff that's not really logical. Mm-hmm. Like, how did they turn their back on you? They hit you up, like, and you didn't hit them, like. But in my head, I'm like, no, like, It's all their faults. Like, forget all of them. And yeah.
Yeah, and not even that too. They didn't try hard enough.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't hard. Like I just had this conversation with my wife about. I told her, I said, I have finally come to a point in my heart that I'm no longer going to be like, hey, I don't want to be the only person that's reaching out. I don't want to be the only one going, because I finally, and this is years, right? Years of struggling with this. I finally have come to a point to my heart where I'm like, listen, either I want to be in relationship with this person or not. Like, point blank period, right? Would it be nice that they, respond to me or reach out to me or pop up, whatever? Yes. And for whatever reason, they're not. And does that surprise you? Is that something brand new for them? No, it's not. So it's like, you know what? I care enough that I want to continue this. Now, I'm going to have an honest conversation and be like, hey, bro, like, why am I the only one that hits you up? Like, why do I have to do it this way? And we don't do it, for one another. Right. But to have that mindset of like, here's all these people, they're trying to reach out to you. They're trying, you're running away from it. I'm getting this mental picture of you literally running away from them running after you, behind you, saying like, hey, it's like, no. And then like literally as you turn your face away from them, you're like, nobody cares.
Yep. 100% accurate.
Man. Bro, we buy into our own lies so fast. I mean, yeah, Satan can definitely do it, but sometimes our own head just be doing some crazy gymnastics in our heads, or it's just like, how did you get to this point? That's crazy. Okay, so even with the divorce, so like, because sometimes when people hear the big D, they're like, oh my gosh, like, how could you? And isn't God supposed to be like holding everything together or whatever? And obviously I want to be respectful, to your wife and family right now. How did you navigate that time with that? Because like, it's one thing to already be like upset as far as like the DJ side of stuff and the entertainment stuff, but like when you can't come home and have a piece of where there's at least somewhere that you feel like, yo, this is good. At least this is okay, even though this is falling apart. How did you navigate that time?
Not well. There are a lot of people who fortunately navigated well and they cling to God during those times. I clung to vices. My vice has never been drugs or anything, but my vice was pornography. I clung to that for my security. Wow. Like that really had a hold on me during that time. It was just like, I don't have accountability anymore. So I don't have to confess this to anybody. It's just me. It's just me on an island by myself, and this is what I'll do to cope. Wow. So it was a bad season. So yeah, I didn't deal with that good at all.
Yeah. So talking me through further, what started becoming the turning point? Like what was that turning point where you're trying to run away from accountability? You're doing whatever you can to get your mind off of the current situation. Who and or what kind of broke through and made you kind of open up your eyes and be like, yo, this is it. I can't keep doing this.
Part of it was actually Mike Real coming out with an EP that was based around our friendship. Wow. People who don't know us personally might not know what it's about, but that EP had to do with me and him and our strange friendship and how that went. And through that, my first listening of it, it was more of an angry, like, how dare he put this in a song? But I mean, he wasn't name dropping me. He was talking about what happened. It was just.
But you had the context enough to be like, how dare he?
Yeah, I knew exactly what he's talking about. I was like, how dare he? And first, I was angry. Second, listen to, he does have a point here. Third, listen to, I get where he's coming from. Fourth, listen to, I need to reach out to him. I need to send him an apology. And that started the wheels turning, because Mike was my closest friend for about a decade. So when you talk about best friend, like that was
Mm-hmm.
my best friend. And I'm like, I get why this happened. Like I get where he's coming from with this. I need to reach out. So that started, everything kind of started changing around that time.
Wow. Shout out Mike Real. He's a real one. I don't want to play a game, on names or whatever, but like for real, like yeah. Shout out Mike Real for being consistent about reaching out. Because again, some people would be at a point and be like, "Hey, listen, look, he don't want this, and so now I'm just gonna pray from afar." Not that there's anything wrong with that, because sometimes it's like, "Yo, I'm not about to have you be hostile towards me, right?" But to be consistent and keep pushing, and in hindsight, were you able to look back and be like, "Oh no, like he's for real trying to bid in there, like all this time"?
Well, in hindsight, I could see where he was reaching out and I was rejecting it. And I rejected it to the point where it's like, okay, if you want to be in that place, I'm going to let you.
Gotcha. Okay.
I got to wash my hands of this.
Understood.
But after a while, I fully understood where he's coming from as far as like, yeah, I reached out. You pushed me back. So I'll let you be in the place where you want to be in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I fully understood it.
Wow. Okay. So, one of the coolest things about and look, I'm gonna say right now, I am sorry that I never paid attention, because I did what everybody else did, where, and also because I'm doing similar things in terms of traveling around and all that, and so when I'm seeing you post or whatever, I'll almost 10 out of 10 times actually. I never read captions or anything else, whatever. I'm like, oh, cool, he's doing this. Oh, okay, he's doing a little mask thingy. Oh, okay, now he's doing, I don't think, because in my head, I'm like, oh, he's around everybody. He's like, he's good, right?
Yeah.
I don't even think to go, hey, man, how's it been out there? I'm seeing other cats kind of straying from faith or making me question, where they are and stuff, and never thought to be like, oh, why don't I hit up people that I know that are currently doing this and make sure they're okay? And so I apologize for not, because we have had enough proximity with one another, and though we've never had a quote unquote close relationship where we're like calling each other all the time or whatever and all that, I've always enjoyed having you around, being around. Like we used to dance together a little bit as well, and so for me to now hear all of this stuff, I'm like, in my head, literally, bro, I'm like, where the heck was I? Like I was nowhere in this whole thing.
Well, that was part of by my own design. I actually, without you even knowing, pushed you away. Around the time when I was dealing with pride and ego and all this stuff, I started becoming jealous that you were even rising. I was like, oh wow, he's out doing things that normally I would be the person doing. He's booked at this festival. I'm a better DJ than him. I should be there. I started festering things in me towards you without you even knowing, like without you doing anything to me. And I'm just like, oh man, forget him. Like he shouldn't be there. Completely forgetting that I got to a place. I did festivals without experience. Like this wasn't based off of my own experience. This was God doing it. And God starts elevating somebody else and you get jealous? Like, what is this?
Wow.
So I started like there was times where I could have congratulated you on different posts. I just scrolled past like,
wow.
Like, so many times. It was festering in my heart towards you and other DJs. Like, oh, I think I'm a better DJ than him. I'm hyper and trying to critique videos. Like, oh, he should have did this. And it was bad. And the crazy thing is, you were one of the main people who, without even knowing, led me to Christ. Yeah, back when we met, I was a dancer at the time, and you and Jeffrey and some other people came to my church. You guys did a dance. I started a friendship with you guys. At the time, I'm just going to church. I'm not a Christian. I'm going because my parents make me go. Oh,
wow. I did not know that.
You guys started inviting me out to the mall and stuff, and I started seeing that you guys lived a life that was different than mine. I'm like, oh, we're at the mall. They're not trying to holler at the girls.
Yeah.
They're not cussing. They're not doing, like, what is, like, I didn't realize people could be Christians at a young age. Like for real. I thought this is what you do
When you
once you
grow
get
up.
yeah. And I started seeing you guys' life, and I'm like, I want to be around them because I want what they have.
Wow.
So when you guys started inviting me out to youth group, I started coming. You guys thought that I was Christian.
Oh, bro.
I was just blending in.
This is real time. I had no idea.
Yeah, I was blending in, and I would go out to I think it was Storm, the youth group at the time,
Yep.
and I always be there. And in my head, I'm like, I want what they have. It wasn't until I think the youth group went to go see Passion of the Christ.
Yep.
And afterwards went back to the church, gave my life to Christ. And for you guys, I don't even know if you guys noticed at the time. You probably didn't notice at the time, but at the time you'd probably been confused if I went down for the altar call. It's like, wait, he's not Christian. He's been with us the whole time. Like, I wasn't saved. I was just blending in. And through you guys' light, I just wanted to be around, and I wanted what you guys had. I wanted the God that you guys were serving, and that led me to Christ.
Dang. Bro. Mind blown. Right here. Real time. Wow. That's dope, bro. Yeah, no. Okay, so for context, for anybody who's listening too, I also thought you were, if not of the faith, at least cool with the faith because of your parents.
Yeah.
Your parents were very active at Faith Family with us. And so I just kind of assumed, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And man, wow. When I tell you I'm like playing back stuff like so fast, because you were at my parents' house, right, in the basement. We were all trying to come up with choreography and do this whole show thing or whatever and all that. Oh man, bro, for you to see any good of me during that time, it's crazy because I didn't necessarily was having like a huge ego trip. I felt like I felt like everybody saw me as some kind of leader, and I was like, well, I guess I'm here, so I'm gonna just keep doing this. And it's like in my mind, in my heart, I'm like, I'm not really necessarily a leader. It's just I'm the only one that's saying something. I'm the only one that's talking right now.
Hey, that's what we need. That's what was needed in that season. So
yeah, bro, that's crazy. So let's talk about the rebranding / the comeback, comeback story, right? So you've gone through all this, and we going back to the conversation we were saying earlier in the podcast. God showed you in hindsight that, hey, these were idols. You were worshiping them and not God. The turning point of at least getting back on track was Mike Reel's EP. What was the next steps? Because your personal life, right? Again, the divorce, right? Like, what were the next steps in your life what was the work? There we go. What was the work that you had to do once you made this decision of, okay, I got to reach out, I need to apologize. What was the steps? What was the work that you had to do in order to do this comeback, in a sense?
I would say the main thing was, for one, getting planted in a local church. I was doing a lot of church hopping at the time.
Yeah.
Even during the time when a lot of the height of my DJing, a lot of church hopping going on, and a lot of excuses being made of why I wasn't going to church because I got a show. So for one, I had to get plugged in, and also just get back into a place where my prayer life with God was back on track. I hadn't really prayed in so long because part of me not praying was, I know I'm going to get convicted by this. And I didn't want the conviction. I'm just like, I'm just going to be out here and feel like a victim and just do what I want to do. But once that started happening and the prayer life started getting back together, then things started changing. And also that's when God really started speaking to me, because around that time also went through the name change. And when I did the name change, and it was more, I was started going towards the Twitch and the gaming. Part of it was a way to keep my name out there. I wasn't being honest with myself. I was just like, oh, well, I mean, I'm kind of taking a break from DJing this season. Part of me was like, you're taking a break from DJing partially because COVID's going on and people aren't booking shows. Yeah,
you're forced to sit down.
Yeah. So this transition into Andre Arcade kind of became another way to have my name still out there and get that kind of affirmation from people.
Oh, okay. I see.
And it just became a different crowd of people. So the crowd that I was used to, it just changed.
Yeah.
I stopped hanging with certain people and replaced them with other people
Yeah.
in the gaming scene. And it wasn't until I went to a young adults service. This is when I'm plugged into a local church.
Mm-hmm.
And Neely Town was actually talking that day. And he talked about what's the one thing in your life where it's like, yeah, God, I'll give you this. Lead me in this. But this over here, I got this.
Mm-hmm.
And God was talking to me like, the thing that you keep out here is your whole career. Not just DJing, not just streaming, gaming, not just dance, all these. It's the entirety of the career thing.
Mm.
That's what you keep over here because this is just your idol. You just want this for the affirmation.
Wow.
It has nothing to do with ministry or anything like that. You're just trying to keep your name out there so you can get praised.
Dang.
And that's when he told me, take a break from all of this. Like, no announcement, no, hey, I'm going to go away. Just stop.
Bro, thank you for not doing that. Thank you for not doing that because that's a personal thing for me because I'm like, why are you telling me that God's telling you to take a break from Instagram? Just get off Instagram. I don't like when you come back, tell me about that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So during that time, right, the work going into it, you're plugged into the church,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting people poured into you. Take me to today, man. How did wifey come along? Like how did that because I'll be honest, like it wasn't really up until then, bro. And this is why I'm still, just so you know, I'm still struggling in my head right now of like wanting to be like, yo, you're a horrible person for not ever popping in. Like you saw these changes with him, right? And then, then you see a picture of a new woman and in your head you put the dots together, but you still didn't ask anything. So yeah, tell me, man, like how did you get to the point? Like did you, how did you end up meeting your wife and how did you get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm recovering, I'm in this comeback season, and I'm also emotionally ready to invest myself again into another person.
Yeah, we met actually around the season where everything started growing spiritually.
Okay.
So we met actually it was a Valentine's Day singles dinner.
Mm-hmm.
This was 2021, and it's a bunch of singles, and I just noticed like it wasn't a Christian event, so you can kind of weed out like who's about what type of lifestyle type thing, and I just noticed her reactions to conversations going on at the table. She's not about that stuff, so I ended up wanting to reach out and have a conversation. So she saw a lot of these different seasons of the season of me reaching out to Mike about reconciliation. She saw, well, she was right there next to me during when God told me to sit down and take a break from everything. Me and her had a conversation about it the next day, like, hey, while we were in that service, like, this is what God told me. So she was able to see these different seasons, and part of God having me sit down was to get me ready for marriage again and to get me focused on that, because I was so focused on so many other things, like, oh, I got to do this stream or I got to do this. And meanwhile, it's like, like, if you really want to do this season right, like, shut all that stuff out, focused on your spiritual health, your emotional health, and your family. So that was that season that came up.
That's good. And so she came at that right time.
Yeah.
Bro, that's so cool though, because again, when people are like, "Oh man, I'm looking for my boo, and I want to get married or whatever," and it's just like, are you even in a spot to receive somebody right now?
Yeah,
that's a whole soul.
Yeah, one quote that I always like was, "It's not about finding the right person; it's about becoming the right person." So that's what I had to work on, becoming somebody who can be a good husband.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on. Okay, it's and I'm about to turn this into a 3-hour podcast, and I'm trying not to right now because I know my son's like, you better not. I don't want to be here for that long. Okay, but it's so true. Like, stop trying so hard to get this and get that and put yourself in a place here and this and well, integrity, you said something about proximity, so I'm going to keep up myself. Yeah, but you are not even a person that I would want somebody in my family to be with.
Yeah. Right?
Like when it comes to relationship, or I would not want my closest friend to hire you for anything. Like if you're not that person, like if you think to yourself who you are right now, would you want somebody who you're really close to be involved with at all? Right? If your answer is nope, that's not you. Right. And I'm not even saying like to forget your, to think that you're perfect. Okay. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying, like, are you polite? Are you compassionate? Are you financially stable? Are you even thinking about finances? Are you reliable? Do you wake up when your alarm actually goes off? Do you actually do these certain things or whatever? Or on the other side, I think for conflict, do you have good conflict resolution? Are you able to have tough conversations? And that's why I said about the whole soul. Like, that's a whole soul. Like, you got to deal with whatever they have ever gone through. You have your entire story, and so do they. And if you're not in a spot that you could process your story, you darn sure not going to be able to help process somebody else's story. Right? Or if you do, you're going to do it in this, like, really muddy, murky way because your filter is not clean yet, right? Like I'm thinking about like a dryer filter, right, with all the lint stuff like that. Your filter is so dirty and just thick with all these different past issues and stuff you have not addressed, and you're going to become one with somebody, and it's like, yo, they can't filter at all through you because your crap is in the way. Right. So yeah, bro. Sorry, I got so many different analogies going in my head, but you made the point very, very well. Is I wanted to become the person, right? Becoming the person is so crucial. And shout out to Wifey for not even just noticing your transition, but like having enough hope in your transition and seeing enough in you to be like, you know what? Nah, he ain't perfect, but he's putting in some work, and he cute. Right? Like that. I think that's dope. So, how long y'all been married?
A year and about 4 or 5 months. 4 or 5 months.
That's dope. So where do you feel like, with all the stuff that you've gone through and that you're, like I said, kind of in a way like rebranding yourself, where do you feel like God is taking you, like direction wise? Do you feel like you're going to start revving back up and getting into performing and doing this, that, and the other? Or are you kind of focusing on something more on a smaller scale, not even smaller scale, a more intimate scale of like, nah, I want to make sure that I have these boundaries, so I don't want to go down that road?
I really don't know if it would be on that larger touring scale. I'm not sure if that makes sense with the way my life currently is. But I do think that one of the main things that God is calling me to is to be a light in the gaming industry, in the Twitch industry, where I've made all these friends. Most of my friends in the gaming industry aren't Christian, so I was able to somehow make all of these friends and be respected by peers over here. But during that season where my main focus was more me and getting my name out and getting affirmation, God's like, okay, there are still people over there that I want you to reach. I just need you to do this differently. So I do feel like there are still that field is still somewhere that God is calling me to. But as far as more so on the DJ front, I want to be somebody who feels a need. I'm not 100% sure if what I was doing before, mostly DJing for artists and all that stuff and doing I'm not sure if that's a field that does not already have light in those places.
I see what you're saying.
During my season away, a lot of those positions got filled by fully capable people who can fill those positions. They're doing it great. They're out there killing it. And I feel like during the season where I was in it, I was kind of feeling a need. There was a void of a certain kind of aspect of what I was doing. But since that season away, there's been people feeling it. So
yeah,
I just want to fill in wherever God needs me, where there's a void and there's a need for my skill sets, whether that be gaming, DJing, filmmaking, like wherever God needs me, I just want to fill the void where it is.
Yeah, that's good, bro. That's good. That's a good spot to be in where essentially you're just like, God, just use me. Yeah. Use me wherever. I'm good on that. I think that's really dope. I think it's all. I think the reason why I also resonate with that too is because one of my most favorite things, and I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, being able to do stuff with with friends who are artists and all of that stuff is really, really cool. I really enjoy helping out events that are new or trying to do something or trying to push a different because you've been around it enough. You can be there and be like, y'all can do it that way, but I will tell you, I've seen this work better. If you want to do it this way, you're good, right?
Yeah.
And having that little insight that, again, to you, it's common knowledge because you've been around it all the time, right? It makes sense to have a good MC during the whole time. It makes sense to make sure the transitions are on point, right? And that there's an experience from the very start of the event to the very end.
Yeah.
Right? We know that, and it's so common knowledge. But I'm sure even as you're, helping out in different things, like you'll start going, and you're like, this doesn't make as much sense to you as I thought it should. Here, let me help you out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm even I look to try to do that even with the Christian club opening in St. Louis, Anomaly STL.
Yeah, bro, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I happened to see the event come across my timeline, and in my head I'm like, this is dope. Like, and I saw little tweaks that could be made. I'm like, I've been in a place where there was a Christian club in St. Louis. I've seen how this could go. Let me see if I can get plugged in. So I ended up I would say that I reached out to the owner. It was actually a mutual reaching out. I sent a friend request, and then they sent me a message like, "Hey, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Yeah, I was on the same page. I was going to message you about reaching out about seeing how I can help out." So the first event is actually coming up this Friday that I'll be DJing. So
yes, okay,
looking forward to that.
Okay, I'm glad you told me because I knew it was coming up. I knew it was coming up. I saw you posting about it. And then I ended up through Oxen Brand Music's Instagram. I ended up following them as well. What time? Tell the people what time is it at?
9 p.m. Through midnight. So.
Oof. Yeah. Okay. Good Lord. Y'all want to do that? Okay. Cool. No, I stay up late, so there ain't no issue with that. It's just the issue of I got a wedding the next day. the wedding the next day. So are you DJing the entire time?
Oh yeah. Yes, indeed.
Bro.
But hey, I'm looking forward to it. I've actually never DJ'd in a club setting where I'm just the DJ. I've always wanted to. The closest thing I've gotten to that was DJing for a skating rink at one point. But I've always actually wanted to. So when I saw that come across my timeline, I'm like, man, how could I get involved? And they just happened to be on the same page. Like, hey, want to reach out, see how you can get involved? I'm like, let's talk about this.
Where is this at?
It's in Washington downtown.
Okay. We will for those of you guys who are I gotta look at my own camera here. For those of you guys who are seeing the replay of this and it's not Friday just yet, I'll have the address. Is that something I should do? I will have an Instagram link to their page so that way you guys can find out some more information about that. Make sure you guys pop through, especially if you here in the St. Louis area. You know how long it's been before anybody has actually done anything in the St. Louis area as well. And so I'm excited about that. Christian club thing is definitely the new popular thing to do. And I'm good with that. I'm with it. Normally I'm a natural born hater, right? With love and grace. I say that all the time. But when this popped up and then I saw that you were doing it or whatever, actually, that's how I saw it, was through your stuff. Immediately, I was like, yo, how can I get off work? And that's why when you said it again, I was like, oh, that's right. I'm off this Friday. We gave the gymnast a 4-day weekend. So nice. I want to pull up, and I don't know if I'm going to stay there till midnight because, again, I got the wedding next day. But I'm excited to see what that is because again, I got – for me, I got so tired of doing all these different events in Michigan and Oklahoma and, like, all these different places, whatever, right? I was like, man, I am more integrated into everybody else's culture and city than my own. I am not integrated with anybody around here. In fact, so many people like yourself, because we did this to one another too, we just assume, oh, you out of town. Oh no, I've been here for a couple months. Oh, but I saw. Well, yeah. I mean, I just posted. I mean, I think we talked about that at the Wande concert.
Yeah. Yep.
Too. It's the same conversation. It's just like, oh no, I'm just reposting some stuff. That's all it is. So yeah. So I like you. I have a heart of I want to do stuff more internal, even for dancers, bro. Like Tanya, she's been like, yeah, hey, do Christians, not use dancers or whatever and all that? And I'm like, no, mostly because of budget, but also because I don't think anybody really thinks of it. And so now, I'll see an artist here and there that either if they themselves don't dance, they might have like one or two dancers. I mean, for Reach to even have one or two dancers on one of the tours or whatever, because of Wande and stuff, I'm just like, that's cool. I don't know many who do that in terms of having a dancer.
That's as I'm thinking. That's literally all I can think of right now.
I can't. Yeah, I can't think of it because I know the homie Kamani here in St. Louis. He's a dancer, and so obviously, anytime we do stuff together, right? We try to do things. We did it at Flames.
Extra Nose Fest.
Yeah, the Extra Nose Fest or whatever. So we got together and did that. But yeah, I'm like, unless somebody brings on a DJ who already can dance, I don't know anybody who's just bringing dancers. But Tanya's heart's the same way too. Like, well, I want to help artists who. She's an artist development as well. Like she does it on the mainstream side of things. She choreographed all of one of Nelly's tours and went on tour with him, world tour with him and stuff. And so the accolades are crazy for her, but like all she thinks about is how can I pour back into the community? How can I give back into the community?
Dope.
So it would be dope to talk to her about the event and see if she's free to come through and kind of see and whatnot. Cause yeah, bro, like I would love to see that popping off. Is this their first event?
It's more like of a relaunching. They've had prior events, but this will be the first one that I've got involved with.
And is there an age thing?
It says 18 and up, but
okay,
yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. I mean, hey, teens, it is what it is. But because as a club, right, as a social, nobody wants a Diddy situation of any sort. So that's all I'm going to say there. That's all I'm going to say there. So, it's just good to know everybody's at least at least of age. So,
you on that.
man, okay, bro. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Definitely knowing that you're even closer. We for sure going to try to get a regular meetup. For sure, and I want to get to meet the family as well. Yeah, man, it'd be dope to have you guys over. What do you got? Okay, so you're doing your Twitch thing. Let the people know. First off, how to reach out to you. If you're on YouTube, it's going to be in the descriptions. Okay, but how to reach out to you, and then what events or anything you got coming up this summer that people can kind of look at.
Yeah, so you can always find me at Andre Arkade. That's Andre Arkade with a K. That's on Twitter, X. Nobody really calls it Twitter.
Nope.
I mean, nobody calls it X.
It X.
Yeah. I don't know how that's going to catch on, but yeah. Catch me, Andre Arkade. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, same thing, and also on Twitch. So you can catch me live on Twitch. I don't have a set schedule, so catch me when you catch me.
catch me when you catch me, bro. I feel that. Bro, if it wasn't for MixMondays, I wouldn't know when I'd be going on Twitch, to be honest. In fact, I feel bad because I'm like the only time I ever go on Twitch is because of MixMondays, and that's it.
That's a reason to get on.
There was one day, yeah, amen. Thank you. There was one day that I finally had enough time and I had everything set up that I went ahead and got on just to start streaming. And I was like, oh man, it's so cool. I'm gonna do this again. Nope. Nope. I want to. Everything in me, because bro, this whole show started with me actually just DJing. It was just music during COVID, right? During the pandemic, we did just music. That's why I was called MixMondays, because I was mixing it up and stuff. And just like every other DJ, I was trying to get off platforms that kept the copyright crap and all that stuff. And I was like, no, I need to stream. There's a DJ that had moved over to Twitch. I was there, enjoyed the culture. It was cool. Found there's some Christians in the chat and realized like they actually like for real Christians. And I was like, oh, well, dope. Since we don't ever listen to Christian music, let me hop on and start doing it. Started doing that. And then through George Moss, because of his time at Way FM and doing radio and stuff, he's like, yo, let's do this as a show. Started doing it as a show. We did a Viewer's Choice Top 10. People would vote upon some artists that we would have, in there. Started having a top 10. I started reaching out to artists to let them know they're on the top 10. Bianca Love, shout out Bianca Love. She was the first person who downloaded Twitch just so that she could be in the chat.
Nice.
I got so hyped because of that. I was like, yo, this is so cool. Like somebody actually took the time. And I'm sure you and I are the same way where we don't necessarily get starstruck at all. But for me, it's just like, yo, the fact that you would take the time to download something that we know if you download a Twitch, like the password's got to be stupid long, and like it's just right. It's not the easiest thing.
And do the confirmation email and
right.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. And so when she did that, I was like, yo, this is so cool. So started having other artists do that, and then that's when we finally started doing interviews. But then I would do the countdown videos like a 106 in Park type deal. Like we would talk for a little bit, do music, talk a little bit, do music, and then finally got away from that. So like where it was to where it is now, is totally different. And I say all of that to say, I want to be like you and get on Twitch, but I want to schedule. I want to schedule what I want. So.
Hey, but it's dope that you took the initiative to even start. So that's all it takes. Is sometimes just taking the initiative and getting out there, and you never know where God's going to take it.
Yeah. No, amen, bro. Amen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. And if you guys are watching this back on the replay, thank you guys so much for watching it this far as well. Make sure you guys hit up the homie for events as well. If you guys are here in the St. Louis area or wherever, because do you still have a passport?
You said
passport?
I thought you said password. I'm like, yeah, I got a passport.
You want to give us your passport?
Oh, yeah, I got a passport.
There you go. So if y'all want to book him internationally, he's still ready to go. Okay.
Arkade.com.
There you go. All right, y'all. Normally I pray. We'll pray out. I'm just going to pray real quick. Lord, I just thank you so much for today. We just want to come with grateful hearts, first and foremost. We thank you for the relationship that Andre and I have been able to have, even if it's from farther away. Lord, I just thank you for this opportunity to be able to hear his story. Lord, I pray that you would use it to impact anybody who's listened to it, whether it's on clips or full stream or whatever. Lord, I pray for his heart, that he would continue to grow in you and continue to lean on you and continue to grow as a leader in his home. Father, that he would lead his family well. And Lord, that he would take all of his story and all of his experiences and be able to pour into things like Anomaly or any other events, Father, that he would pour into people, knowing that while pouring into people, that's just going to make whatever the event is better. Just other people coming to know you because of it. I just pray, Lord, that we all would just keep in mind that in order to stay out of darkness, in order to come out of our muck, we have to put ourselves in friend groups and in situations and in your presence to be able to stay away from that. So I pray, Father, that you would just guard our hearts and that we would continue to lay our life down for you. And Lord, that we're honest with ourselves when we know we screw up and we know that we are not living the life that we should, Father. Anybody, and myself included, who struggles, ups and downs and all that, whatever, may we, like David, be known to be people after your own heart, Father. We may not be perfect, but that does not mean that's an excuse. However, that is also a calling for us to do that, Father. And so I just pray that you bless anybody who is looking for opportunities and just wondering how to go about it. May we all lay our own ambitions down before your feet, Father, and trust that you will guide us and that you will equip us and keep us safe from any opportunities, Father, in the future. So, and we also pray for not only coming up, that the people who need to be there would be there, and that your presence would be there from start to finish. Help Andre as he as he's preparing for it, as he's in there, give him the energy, give him the sensitivity to your Holy Spirit as to where to go musically and everything else, Father. And so we just pray that you just be with that whole event, Father. And we just thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, y'all. Grace and peace. Adios.
Hey, if you liked any of this content and you found some value in it, make sure that you like, subscribe, and of course, share it. Also, if you're interested in some more, go ahead and check out these videos. Till next time, grace and peace. Adios.